Hey guys, just a quick intro. This is me from the future. In the video you're going to watch, there's going to be plenty of mistakes. Shocking if you've been following my channel, I know. Uh, but I did get to a point where I got pretty frustrated. So if this video feels a little disjointed, it's because it was shot over a series of few days. And I'm going to be having links to a bunch of people. I shouted out to basically everybody in the community for encouragement and support, and I want to thank them by having you guys check out their channels. Uh, the one thing I did here was I tried to rush through some things, and I also allowed myself to get frustrated. So, as Ted says, I took some time away to give myself a little grace and came back to it. Is it perfect? No, but I think we worked it out. So, come along, guys. All right, welcome back, guys. After a brief intermission, we are back on Project P90. And today, I'm kind of glad I took a break because we're getting into some of the things that are making me a little nervous. One of which is going to be throwing those vintage style tuners on the headstock, which requires drilling and aiming things up. And I'll give a shout out when I get to that because I ran into some issues with trying to figure out how to keep them straight. Um, I'm going to do a little bit of cosmetic work once I get those tuners on because I did buy myself a few black screws to go along with all the extra hardware. And some of them look the right size for the tuners, which is good because I somehow managed to lose another one and the magnet is not finding it. So having spare parts is good. Um, and then if we do have time and it's not taking too terribly long, again, I'm going to edit a lot of this out because you don't need me to see me do the same thing 6 times over unless something happens. Then I keep it in because I need you guys to learn from my mistakes as I'm learning how to do this. Um, if time allows, I'm going to start to get to the soldering, which makes me really nervous. But looking in that control cavity, the soldering work doesn't seem that great, so I don't feel like I can make it too much worse. We'll see as time goes on. And then just one little bit of business here, because everybody likes to get mail. I got mail, and I wanted to give a shout out. Escaping from me, hang on. I wanted to give a shout out to Rob over at the Mini Guitar Society. He sent me a really nice card with a couple of stickers and a magnet for the Mini Guitar Society. I'll link Rob's channel. You should really go check him out. He's an interesting guy. So many different instruments. I did not know the minis could be that cool, and just a great story of his own too. You should go check out his channel to see all about it. He's doing good work. Well, thank you, Rob. And at some point in the future, if I ever come up with any kind of merch stickers or whatever like that, there's going to be a few people that I have to reciprocate with because you've all been cool to me. And that stuff is going to be on my channel board when I figure out a way to include it in these videos. I have no idea where I'm going to put that now that my computer is not metal and I can't magnet stuff to it. All right. So I'm going to, enough chit chat. Sorry, Sean. I'm going to get us down to the webcam to take a look at the headstock. I have a piece of blue tape on here. Why is that? Well, it's so I can see stuff better on this background. What I was going to do was use a straight edge to line up all three tuners when I had them on there. The only problem with that is that these are not in a straight line. So if you put a straight edge, for example, this on it, you're not hitting all three. It's rocking back and forth. So I reached out to John at Smoke Eater Guitars. Thank you, John. And he confirmed for me, yeah, the best bet that he could think of is to get one on there straight, and then you just got to make sure they're all perpendicular. That means 90 degrees, guys, sticking straight out. So I'm going to turn the tuner headstocks straight up and down as best I can, and we're going to do one at a time and get them on there. On that note, because you guys know that I had the Diamondback tuners on there, that was not a text thing. I hit my magnet cup with a tuner. I have to drill these holes in. So what I'm going to do is get it straight, drill one, put a screw in, sink the other one, and rinse, wash, repeat. I did measure out the screws on my drill bit here, and I don't know if you can see that. I could not get tape to stick to this damn thing to save my life. So I took a Sharpie, and I know if I start to get into that Sharpie, I'm going too far down in the hole. I want to have these holes just a little bit shy of the length of the screws so that they have something to bite into. I did find out by using this on a test piece of wood that it is the right size drill bit so that it can bite. I don't want to have to refill and drill again and again. So here we go. Let's give this a shot. You know what? I think I'm going to give myself a little extra light, which I will take off when I go back to the final thoughts here because I don't want to blind anybody. Give myself a headlight there so I can see a little better. Also going to take my glasses off because prescription I have, I keep moving my head up and down to look at those holes. So the tape is giving me something. It's not perfectly straight, but the tape is giving me something to look at versus just the black background. Try and make sure that I've got this lined up. If any of you guys out there had any thoughts on a better way to do this, I'm all ears because we can always correct later. Let's make sure that's going the right way. All right, we'll watch for that black line. I am not using a lot of pressure on this. And like I said, I'm not using a full-blown drill because I would worry that I would be going straight through. And I'm going to have a little bit of sawdust and stuff to clean up. All right, so let's sink one screw and see if we can get that straight. And I apologize, I forgot to get my little screwdrivers out. These are tiny, tiny screw heads, so I'm going to try and find one that fits that I can screw in manually without making a huge mistake. Like cracking off the screw, twisting off the head. There we go. I need a little better screwdriver. Let's see if I think this is too big. Actually, not too bad. The head is a little bigger. All right, so we have that sticking straight out. Let's see if we can sink that other hole and then we'll tighten this up. All right, get the light back on the subject. I was just watching Ted on Brother Ed's channel, and I will link Brother Ed, Puppy Badass, to you guys. He does chats a couple times a week and has guests on. I'm going to be showing up on his show sometime in April, I believe the 12th. So I've got that to look forward to, and it should be a great time. All right, let's see what we got. One screw, one tuner. Yeah, I'm going to need to get a smaller screwdriver because I'm hitting that locker, he said as he nearly stripped the screw. So we want those all the way down and snug. I maybe could drill a little deeper. So far, so good. My tuning peg is perpendicular off the side of the guitar. That little screwdriver works well enough, but it does not give me enough torque to get those screws in. I don't want to over tighten because everything should just be a little bit snug. Also going to make sure that I'm not screwing stuff down onto that tape so I can get it off of there. I did go ahead and lube up all these tuners so they turn very nicely now. I took off the plastic on the SAFU nameplates. All right, I'm going to get these screwdrivers out of my way so I don't knock anything else on the floor along with the missing screw. And I'm going to do another one on the same side now that we've got a reference point. Ah, son of a bitch. Well, I'm going to keep that in, guys, because I did do it. I went through the headstock. So there's going to be a little bit of filler in my future and probably a furniture marker. Take care of that. I'll tip this over and show you quick once I get it out of here. Dang it. So my plan with the black marker did not work real well. So as I just said, I did manage to drill through the headstock right there. That's what's one more beauty mark, right? So I will copacetically get a furniture marker in the future and fix that up. Thankfully, I did not do it on either of the other two. So let's finish getting this one in place and maybe not get so overzealous with the drill. It's going to work for me. And to be honest, this guitar has its own share of battle scars, so I'm not overly concerned about it. At some point in the future, as I get better with this, if I decide I want to come back and make this perfect, who knows? Maybe we'll refinish it. But for now, I'm happy with the fact that I've got good working tuners as opposed to those Diamondbacks on there. And other than, sorry about the clicking the mic, other than the few hundred of you that maybe watch this video, nobody else is going to see the back of that headstock except me. And from the front, let's take a look and see what it looks like. War wound aside, I don't think that looks bad at all, guys. Tuning pegs look a little short compared to the old ones, but I matched them up and they looked the same size, so I don't know. The good thing is they're lockers, so I won't have to wind them around too much, and they will work for me. Again, that's another thing I probably could have done was measure. I know that tuners come in different size. These were not staggered tuners, and so I did not buy staggered tuners, but everything looks good there. All right. The next thing we are going to do is just a little bit of cosmetic work before I get into doing some of the electronic stuff, because I just want to get some of these parts off of my table quick. So like I said, I did go out and get myself some black screws to try and maintain the visual that I'm going for here. Ah, perfect. All right, two more. I did want to thank Casey over at String Pickers the other day for reaching out to me. He called me the other day after I had put together the last video. We got 3 of these. After I had put together the last video to offer me advice on how to get those post things out, not knowing that I had already received advice from several of you. But Casey and I had a great chat for about an hour. Great guy, great video, great tech, good player, and you should go check out his channel. I've linked him before, but I'll link him again below along with everybody else that I've mentioned in this video. When Brant over at Tony Yeager talks about his pit crew, that's the community. That's who he's talking about. Everybody that I watch, he's been reaching out to. Everybody in this community is fantastic about trying to help each other out with learning all of this stuff. All right, truss rod screws have been replaced. I'm gonna just dial this over here. It's easier than moving the guitar right now with everything on the bench. And we're gonna replace the pick guard screws. Yeah, that looks sharp. All right, we have black pick guard screws. While we're up here looking, can't remember if I mentioned it last time, but if I didn't, I want to mention it too. Wicked Fester TR, gonna give a shout out and link his channel as well. When I was digging out these post holes, I came across the question for the community that I just posted on our Discord and said, Shouldn't there be a ground wire in there somewhere? I had to pull the post out again, and sure enough, it was in there. It was just way up against the, excuse me, it was way up against the side, and I couldn't see it. So I did take another look in there, and then sure enough, because it was in there, I checked out the posts that I got because they are black. They're painted black, which means they're likely to be non-conductive. TR recently did a video on gold hardware and how people were introducing ground hum, because they couldn't figure out what was going on. Well, it's because it was gold paint and not actual gold, meaning it was not conductive. So just where it was hitting that ground wire, I had to scuff it up a little bit. So that'll be good when we throw the new pickup on. All right, I'm gonna move the drill out of the way. Next step here, we are looking at our strap buttons. I'll do this one that's right here in camera view with you, and then I'll do the other one, and then we get on to big part of things, which is the soldering. And we will get the little pads, big mods that I'm doing, and to have it be done with a $60-ish guitar that I got from Goodwill. And honestly, these things, the Chinese ones, sell maybe for 150 tops. So I don't feel like I'm wrecking anything that's going to be an heirloom, unless, who knows, this turns out to be one of my favorite players. We'll see. Let's get that strap button off. One silver button that had a black felt, but we're going to go ahead and use the ones that came with. To borrow a phrase from Ted. All right, so we did take that little piece of guitar string and put it in the screw hole, and this should allow me to get enough bite that this will actually operate properly as a strap knob. And I have another piece cut just in case we need to on the bottom one. There we go, nice and tight. Let me get my octopus out here. So we have replaced the strap knobs, we have replaced the pickguard screws, we replaced the truss rod screws, we replaced the tuners. Now we're ready for the show. Let's see if we can replace a pickup, guys. Oh, one thing to speak about on the adventure here. Of course it happened. So I did copacetically, there I go with that word again. I got to stop doing that or Ted's going to flag me for a copy strike. It's just so easy to do if you watch his videos for a long time. Anyhow, I bought a black pickguard. Well, guess what, guys? Much like everything else I've done on this guitar, it was not the right size. Number one, it was a little skinnier, not as tall as this one. I don't know if that would have been a problem with the P90, but it also did not have the holes line up properly. So I would have been making myself even more work. So what I did have downstairs was a nice can of black Rust-Oleum. And you know what? It ended up very decent, matte black. Pretty happy with it. Not tacky at all. It's mostly black on the inside. You can see what it used to be, but nobody's going to see that except me when I'm putting it together. All right, guys, we are back. I will have cut stuff out. We found it. It's on the side here. It is the right size. It is not the easiest thing to see. All right. From the looks of it, I don't need to do anything on this pot that I can see. There's Let's start that conversation over. I will have cut a lot of stuff out that I just said because you couldn't see. So I've got the volume and tone knob out. I am going to work on them outside of the cavity. I don't need to do too much with this one because everything is here for the pickup, the ground wire, everything I need, and the output jack. I am going to try and remove just the pickup wire, which is this thick one, and this white line that is going to this third lug over here. Those other white lines, I'm not entirely sure what they're for, but I'm trying to do as little soldering as possible here as I can. So let me get, all right, gang. So we have ourselves some flux, some rosin core solder, a soldering tool that is heating up, a little copper thing to clean it, a tip that has seen better days. That's another thing that's got to be on my shopping list, but this should get us through this job, and a damp sponge. This black wire off of here, I have a feeling all of these are going to come off because that's all soldered in one place. Careful not to hit the wires. Soldering tool in my tip. One of these days I'm going to have to see if there's any local college or anything that does little soldering courses. This is not going well. I don't have a whole lot of room with that ground wire, and I don't want to roach the pot because I don't have another volume pot right now, and I got to be careful about hanging onto the pot. Helping hands would be helpful, but I do not have them. I'm getting a lot of smoke, but not a lot of flux. I have a feeling I'm going to have to try a different tip. Well, the other thing I heard to try, let's stop recording for now. All right, there's been a lot of stop-start here. We are going to try a different tip. It is not coming loose. I really just want that one big glob to come off there. I'm going to have to separate these wires and probably clean them all up off camera because this could be an hour-long treatise in how not to solder. Feels like it wants to go. I think what we're going to do here, gentlemen, is try the other solder gun, bad tip and all. All right, guys, I think what we're going to do is probably call this a night after I pull the plug out. Off camera, I got caught up in trying to get all of this to work properly. And I think what we're going to do is probably call it a day. I'm going to pull the pickup out, feed the new one through, try and get it secured to the front of it so I can have everything all in one piece. And then for the next vid, we're going to return. I'm going to try and clean up this pot. I ended up even adding more solder just to try and get it to heat up well enough so that I could take that stuff off of there. So all these wires are going to have to go back on the pot, as well as the black wire going to the pot and then the white wire going over here. I will have to get the ground wire back on there as well, but that's not going to be a problem. So we have a humbucker. All right. Now, let's find our P90. And also, this is probably going to be a good time to find out whether or not Birdman was correct and I'm going to have to do some surgery. Okay, so this is going to be that side because it's got a feed through there. You can get those wires through there. The hole is plenty big, so it should work its way through to the control cavity with a little finagling and a little coercion. This is another thing. If there's a better way to do this, guys, that you could tell me. This doesn't seem to want to follow the route. All right, I got it through. Okay, yeah, now I'm seeing what you meant, Birdman. So we're going to stop it there. I'm not going to be able to get the thing mounted up. I am going to have to take a Dremel just to each side of the pickup cavity on the top and the bottom to get this to fit in there. I see what he meant now. I thought it was the pickup cover itself that he meant to work on. It's the cavity. This is slightly chunkier than your humbucker. But I think that's going to look nice. So, all right. Hey guys, sorry for how disjointed some of these videos are going to be. This is a couple days later from the soldering debacle. I took some advice and kind of stepped away from things to reassess what I need to do and how I need to do it, and also to just try and plan things a little better and slow down. A lot of the mistakes that have happened on this have been because I was trying to go too fast, or I was going into things unprepared. The only good thing about this is that in the process of discovering that I did not know how to solder properly, sorry for the flashing light, I'm trying just to make sure that I've got a headlamp on so I can see in the cavity better. I know you guys can see okay, but I want to make sure that I'm doing everything proper. Good thing that I didn't know what I was doing with soldering, because what I have to do would not have worked with the pickup connected and sitting in the cavity. I would have had this channel here is where the wires go over to the cavity, and I need to have the wires out of the way to do what I need to with the Dremel. What we're working on right now, so I can secure the pickup after I feed the wires back through. If you look at this, the middle is just fine. We have no problem getting the pickup in there. With the issue where we do have things is these corners need to be squared off a little more. What I'm going to do is take my Dremel, carefully square each of these corners off just a little bit. I'm going to go slow and try each time. I'm going to try and make it equal so that if we do decide to go back to a humbucker pickup, what we've done with the route here isn't going to prevent us from doing that. And then I pulled the ground wire out of the cavity and taped it up here so it'd be out of the way, so I'm not going to be hitting the wire as well. All right, I'll chatter at each stop here. I just want to see. Oh, we're close. Let's just make sure those shoulders fit in there. Yeah, they look like they do. The only reason I'm having any problems right now is the cord is in the way. I think if I vacuum everything out here, we should be able to take a look at moving that wire and see if this will fit. A little more noise. So as you can see, I did indeed add a few more relics to my guitar here, which again is fine. I mean, look at all the scratches, the dings and everything here. That's just how this guitar is going to look. It has its own character, which is why I wanted to put a P90 in it anyways. If we had to do it again for a guitar that I did actually not want to do have any relicking to, so to speak, we would not have done it this way. All right, we're still hitting a little bit somewhere. Okay, it's fitting in there, but it's really, really tight. So I think the corners aren't the problem anymore. I think the bottom of this pickup, yeah, there's a lip. There is a little bit wider. So what I'm going to do, and I will try and speed this up again and or cut. Let's see if this is any better. And we'll do the same here. Getting closer. It is just a hair too wide. So we're going to take a little more off of each side. All right, a little more Dremel, a little more vacuum, another check. All right, hope, hope, hope. Oh, so close. Get it in there. I just want to give myself a little more wiggle room than that so that this will go up and down smoothly when I'm turning the screws. I don't need the screws to get stuck. Little more Dremel, a little more vacuum. This is going to get tedious for you guys. Knock on wood, folks. We are going to need to clean everything off, more than likely. So what we're going to do is feed our wires back through. And we will try to get ourselves a pickup fully attached so that we can flip things over and hopefully try and solder. And then before we start putting everything back together, I'm going to clean this top up again because vacuum or no vacuum, that stuff left kind of a mess for me. Let's see what we got here now, folks. I have a pickup cover. Excuse me 1 second. I'm going to try and pull that wire as taut as I can. Just a little bit shorter. So I think these are going to work. If not, I will go back to the old screws and we will just use the Sharpie to make them look black because we have black out all the other hardware that we could. See if we can get all right. We have one threaded. Get the other screw. All right, at least for me, holding these upside down so I can see that the screw is at the right place. Catch if I'm lucky. All right. A pickup in a pickup guard. Looks kind of cool. It's probably sitting a little bit low. Now I also did buy the pickup ring screws in black as well. These don't seem like they're going to be long enough to bite. Well, that one bit. we have a pickup that is not going anywhere. I just want to take a look. Yeah, all right, guys. I think this is a good start. I feel like progress has been made at least. As for me, I'm fine with this because this is my first project of any sort of magnitude, other than just a quick solder here or just a quick setup cleaning stuff. I've changed tuners before, but not done a whole lot of work like this. I did put a pickup into the Flying V, but again, that was just a single pickup, a humbucker for a humbucker. There wasn't any surgery allowed. I wasn't doing anything special, and soldering work left a lot to be desired. I'm going to cut it right here, and we'll come back when I've got everything set up for soldering, because I have to put away everything for the Dremel. Okay, guys, so I'm trying something a little different this time with the soldering. Number one, I have looked at a few things, practiced a few times on other things. We'll see how this goes, though. I did get a lot of advice on the Discord, and there's a few things I do need to get for future attempts, but right now we're going to make what I've got work. What we do have going on here is a ton of accumulated solder from my attempts last time, but also the old globs. I really want to try and get that off of there so we can have a clean surface to start with, because this wire and this wire need to go back to the pot. From the pickup, this white wire, which I will have to trim and expose, needs to go to this lug. So we're going to try and make that happen as well. And then this bare wire, which I hope is not going to be a problem, needs to get attached to the pot as well. If I can get those three things done without too much work, I think we'll be able to just check whether we've got any kind of signal. I did get myself some solder suckers so I can try and get rid of that. Don't have helping hands, so I'm hoping this is going to help. Now we're getting there. All right, just took a second. Yeah, there's a good chance I already cooked this pot with what I was trying to do with it, and if that's the case, well, then we will revisit this. All right, we are starting to get liquid. We got rid of a bunch of it. Let's try and get rid of a little more. My technique is not great for this, I know, but it's having somewhat the desired effect. I'm getting rid of a good chunk of it. I'm assuming this should be easier than how I'm making it. Now, if I were at all good at this, I'd have a third hand, right? Let's see. Nope. Yeah, I'm making a mess, I realize. This is where I really need hands-on training and more practice. Okay, that is a gruesome mess. Wondering if I should have gotten to that lug before I did this. We don't really need to do anything to this one, so I'm going to get it out of the way. Yeah, be very careful, guys. This is very easy to burn yourself. See if we can't get a little more exposed look at this lug where one white wire needs to copacetically go. We have a very skinny wire which needs to be exposed just a little bit. All right, we have a little bit of wire exposed. It's going to be enough to fit through there. Don't need the solder sucker anymore. We do need the solder, however. All right, we got a little bit of tin on there. And if the demos that I watched were correct, I want to, number one, separate that away from there. Aha! All right, folks. We have the lug still connected, both other wires. So now we just need to get this one copacetically. I'm sorry, Ted, I keep using that word, but it just applies to this situation for me. Okay, that is not elegant, but it is there. Cannot be so damn hot, so I can get that ground wire soldered to it. Let's get this box out of the way. Where is my ground wire? All right, there we go, gentlemen. That's not too bad. So I'm getting okay at tinning wires. All right, we need to try and find a way to make this lay flat. Okay, I sort of have it on there. I don't know, with it smoking like that, do I have the iron too hot? All right, we have a ground. Let's do this. Let's put these pots through the holes. All right, so we got the honey tone. I am going to turn the drive all the way down because we don't need hum coming from too much gain. Let's get this plugged into our output jack. Speaking of which, I never looked at that. Feels a little loose, but not terrible. Could it use a pure tone? Probably. Am I going to commit to more soldering on this project? Probably not. Because if this works, I'm going to be so happy to call this one a day. But I've got a little bit of hum, but that's entirely possible. We've got signal. All right, click, click, click. I don't know if you guys heard that, but we have signal to this pickup. Let's attach some pots. We're going to put the back cover back on. And then I'm going to put some strings. All right, so here are the original screws. I think these are the ones that I want to do, yes, for the back plate. Because, guys, this community is what helped me keep my sanity. And as Ted says, I finally allowed myself to take some time, give myself a little grace, recognize that I'm going to make a few mistakes, maybe a few more than most along the way. And despite my initial thought to edit it out because it was kind of embarrassing, everything that happened, I want this in for somebody that's just starting. Let's put some knobs on while we're at it. So we've got it set all the way up. I like being able to see the volume as I'm playing the guitar, so I'm going to try and match these up. We have our pirate skull knobs all set. So where they come out is under here. They wrap over. And then we're just going to see if I can make any noises with this today. I'll see if I can maybe turn the filter off on my mic. You guys are going to hear background noise from my house and everything, but so be it. Just so that you can hear from the amp that it's making any sort of noise. Just double check the neck relief before I throw any strings on it. I want to make sure that it is flat. The neck, however, is still perfectly straight, which is kind of where I want it before I put the strings on it. What we're going to do here is get all the strings fed through. This is going to be awkward and messy. I will probably speed this up till all the strings are fed through, and then we'll do another speedy uppy segment of me attaching everything. All right, guys, we have 6 strings. All right, gang, we are back. We have 6 strings on a guitar. They are all sitting in saddles. I am just going to apparently make another mess. Don't know if you heard that. Going to throw a tuner on the headstock because I don't have a bench tuner as of yet. Sorry, guys. All right, let me see if I can shut off the noise filter on my mic. All right, I've removed noise suppression. You're probably going to be hearing stuff in the background. Here's the good news. And I have a volume pot that works. I did not kill it. And the tone pot is still working as well. All right, this is not going to be great picture quality. This is just going to be a short one. Until next time, guys, when we do the setup, I want to thank everybody in the community for their support and encouragement and advice on everything that was driving me nuts about this guitar. We have a guitar put back together. We have blacked out hardware. We have new tuners. We have a bridge. All that remains is the setup and some playthrough. So I'm going to take some time stretching these strings out because it's going to be very hard to do any kind of proper intonation with it constantly going out of tune. So the next time you see this will be a couple days down the road, giving me some time to stretch the strings out on this and see how she sounds for the rest of it. With that, until next time, guys.